Take a quick pause. Did you know that over 90% of you watching haven't hit the subscribe button yet? If you're enjoying this video, take a second to subscribe and hit the like button. It helps us bring you more gripping stories every day. Also, we'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your city in the comments so we can see how far our stories are reaching. Your support really keeps us going. Now, let's jump back into the video. I married Lisa believing she was my perfect match. We spent 6 years together building a life that, to outsiders, looked almost ideal. Our 3 children, 2 of them twins, were the heart of our world. We lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood with well-manicured lawns and friendly neighbors. I used to think that nothing could shatter the stability we had. Even during the occasional arguments, I believed in the strength of our marriage. I believed in Lisa, but I was wrong. The cracks started appearing when she made a decision, one that should have been ours to make together. Instead, she went behind my back, made her choice without me, and shattered everything we had built. It started with one sentence, one casual remark that changed everything. We were sitting on the couch late one evening, a mindless TV show playing in the background. Lisa scrolled through her phone, her expression unreadable. Then, without any warning, she said, "Grant, there's something I need to tell you." I muted the TV, sensing the seriousness in her tone. "What's going on?" She took a breath, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and said it so casually that, for a moment, I thought I misheard her. "I'm going to be a surrogate for my sister." At first, I thought it was a joke, but as I looked at her, I saw nothing but certainty in her eyes. My stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice tighter than I intended. Lisa met my gaze. "Sarah and Josh have been struggling to have a baby for years. They've gone through multiple rounds of IVF and nothing has worked. The doctor suggested surrogacy. And since Sarah and I share DNA, I'm the best candidate. I've already started the process." That last part, "I've already started the process," sent a shockwave through me. I leaned forward, trying to process her words. "You already started without talking to me?" Lisa exhaled, exasperation flickering across her face. "Grant, I knew you'd react this way. That's why I didn't bring it up earlier." I clenched my jaw. "You're telling me you made this massive decision, one that affects our marriage, our family, without so much as a conversation?" She crossed her arms. "It's my body. I don't need permission." I stared at her, my heart pounding. "Lisa, this isn't just about your body. You're bringing another man's child into our home. You expect me to just be okay with that?" She scoffed. "It's not another man's child. It's Sarah's and Josh's baby. I'm just the carrier." But it was another man's child. And no matter how she spun it, no matter how much she rationalized it, the fact remained. She had made a decision that completely disregarded me. I swallowed the growing anger inside me. "And you never thought about how this would affect me? Our kids?" Lisa's face hardened. "I thought you'd be supportive. Sarah is family. I couldn't stand by and watch her struggle any longer." I let out a humorless laugh. "Oh, so you couldn't stand by while your sister struggled, but you could completely dismiss your own husband's feelings?" She rolled her eyes. "You're overreacting." Overreacting? My wife had just told me she was carrying another man's child, and I was supposed to just nod and smile? I took a breath, forcing my voice to stay level. "Lisa, if you go through with this without even considering my feelings, it's going to destroy our marriage." She lifted her chin. "Then maybe our marriage isn't as strong as I thought." That was the moment I realized I had already lost her. The following weeks were a blur of arguments, tense silences, and growing resentment. Lisa openly discussed doctor's appointments, hormone treatments, and embryo transfer schedules as if she were planning a vacation. Each mention of it chipped away at me. Then, one evening, I came home to find a package from the fertility clinic in our fridge. Vials of medication, syringes, and detailed instructions lay spread out on the kitchen table. Lisa sat there flipping through a thick booklet like it was a casual read. I stared at the medical supplies. My stomach turned. "What is all this?" I asked, my voice cold. Lisa barely glanced up. "The hormone treatments. I need to start them soon to prepare my body for implantation. I inhaled sharply, trying to stay calm. And you didn't think this warranted a conversation? She shrugged. We're past conversations, Grant. I told you, I'm moving forward. I gritted my teeth. You don't care, do you? About how this is affecting me? About what it's doing to our marriage? Lisa exhaled, rubbing her temples. Stop being dramatic. It's 9 months. Then I hand the baby over to Sarah and Josh, and life goes on. I let out a bitter laugh. Life goes on? You think this is something I can just forget? Her patience snapped. If your pride can't handle it, then that's your problem. My chest burned. Pride? You think this is about pride? It's about partnership. About the fact that you chose to exclude me. Lisa picked up the paperwork, dismissing me. We're done here, Grant. I stood there staring at her, my fingers twitching with frustration. I wanted to rip those papers apart, to throw the medication in the trash, to do something, anything to stop this. But I knew it was too late. That night, as I lay awake in bed, a single thought settled in my mind. If Lisa insisted on doing this alone, then she could deal with the consequences alone. I was done. And in the morning, I was going to call the lawyer. Rachel's hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the kitchen counter. The weight of her choices pressed heavily against her chest. The night before had been reckless, an emotional storm that left destruction in its wake. James had left before dawn, slipping away before Alex returned. Now, as sunlight streamed through the window, Rachel faced a reality she could no longer deny. Alex, unaware of what had happened, walked into the kitchen and kissed her cheek. Morning, babe, you okay? She forced a smile. Yeah, just tired. He poured himself a cup of coffee, his gaze lingering on her. You've seemed different lately. Her pulse quickened. Different how? Alex hesitated, then shrugged. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking. He chuckled and sipped his coffee. Work has been crazy and we haven't had much time together. I was thinking we could take a weekend trip. Just us. Rachel's heart twisted. A weekend away with Alex would only make her guilt worse. That sounds nice, she said softly, but her mind was elsewhere. On James, on the lingering tension, on the fact that she had crossed a line she couldn't erase. James had promised himself he wouldn't reach out, but by noon he couldn't resist. His fingers hovered over his phone before finally sending a message. James, we need to talk. Rachel stared at the screen, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. She knew this wasn't going to go away. She responded with a simple, later. That evening, as Alex settled into the couch to watch a game, Rachel told him she was going out for coffee with a friend. It wasn't a complete lie. James had been her closest friend for years. They met at a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town, far from prying eyes. James was already there, his expression a mix of regret and longing. You're avoiding me, he said as she sat down. Rachel sighed. I don't know what to say. James leaned in. Tell me the truth. Do you regret it? She looked away, conflicted. I regret hurting Alex, but I can't pretend I don't have feelings for you. James exhaled, running a hand through his hair. This isn't something we can just bury, Rachel. We've already crossed the line. She knew he was right. But what now? Meanwhile, Alex was scrolling through his phone, casually checking messages when a notification popped up. A security alert from the app connected to their home camera. He clicked on it, expecting to see a delivery or something minor. Instead, his stomach dropped. The footage showed Rachel leaving the house the night before. A few minutes later, James arrived. The timestamp showed he had stayed for hours. Alex's grip tightened around his phone. His mind raced, trying to reason with what he was seeing. Maybe James had just stopped by for something. But why so late? And why had Rachel lied? A seed of doubt was planted, and once it took root, there was no stopping it. When Rachel returned home, Alex was sitting on the couch, his expression unreadable. Hey, she said cautiously. Where were you? His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. Rachel hesitated. Just catching up with a friend. Alex's eyes locked onto hers. With James? A chill ran down her spine. Why would you say that? He held up his phone, playing the security footage. Because this says otherwise. Rachel's breath caught in her throat. The walls were closing in. Rachel stood frozen, her mind racing as Alex held up his phone, the security footage playing in his hand. The silence between them stretched, thick with unspoken words. You lied to me, Alex finally said, his voice controlled but laced with hurt. Rachel swallowed hard. Alex, I can explain. He let out a bitter laugh. Go ahead. Explain why my best friend was here late at night while I was away. Her heart pounded. There was no easy way out of this. She had to say something, anything to salvage the situation. He came over because he was struggling with something personal, she said carefully. We talked, that's all. Alex studied her, his jaw clenched. For hours. You expect me to believe that? Rachel's pulse quickened. I didn't tell you because I knew how it would look. But I swear it wasn't. Don't! Alex interrupted, shaking his head. Don't insult me by pretending this is nothing? The weight of his words settled over them. Rachel felt the walls closing in. She had always known this moment would come, but now that it was here, she wasn't prepared. Alex exhaled sharply and ran, a hand through his hair. I never thought I'd have to question you, Rachel, but now I don't know what to believe. She felt the sting of his disappointment, and it cut deeper than she expected. I need time, he finally said. I can't just pretend I didn't see this. Rachel opened her mouth to protest, but the look in his eyes stopped her. He wasn't just angry, he was hurt. Across town, James sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel. He had been expecting Rachel's call, but it never came. Instead, his phone buzzed with an unexpected name. Alex. James hesitated before answering. Hey, man. Silence, then. Meet me. James' heart pounded. Where? Alex gave him an address, a quiet park, away from the public eye. James knew there was no backing out now. When he arrived, Alex was already there, standing by a bench with his hands in his pockets. His face was unreadable. You knew, Alex said as James approached. You knew what you were doing. James exhaled. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. But it did, Alex said, his voice sharp. You were supposed to be my best friend. James struggled to find the right words. I never wanted to hurt you, Alex, but feelings got complicated. Alex let out a dry laugh. Complicated? You betrayed me. James had no defense. He had crossed a line and there was no undoing it. Back at home, Rachel sat on the edge of the bed, her mind spinning. The house felt different. Quieter, heavier. She knew things wouldn't be the same. When Alex finally returned, he didn't speak right away. He just stood in the doorway, looking at her as if seeing her for the first time. I need space, he finally said. I don't know what happens next, but I can't just pretend nothing's changed. Rachel's throat tightened. Alex, please. But he had already turned away. And with that, the foundation of their life together had begun to crumble. The days following Alex's confrontation with Rachel were suffocatingly silent. He had moved into the guest room, barely speaking to her except when necessary. Every glance between them carried the weight of unspoken pain. Rachel felt like a stranger in her own home. She had known the fallout would be severe, but nothing prepared her for the emptiness that followed. She sat at the kitchen table, staring at her untouched coffee. The house, once filled with warmth, now felt cold. She had tried to speak to Alex, but he kept his distance, avoiding deep conversations. One evening, she found him packing a suitcase. Her heart clenched. Alex, where are you going? He didn't stop. I need time to think. I'm staying with my brother for a while. Rachel swallowed hard. So that's it? You're just leaving? He paused, meeting her gaze. I don't know what else to do, Rachel. I can't be here right now. Every time I look at you, all I see is betrayal. His words cut deep, but she knew she couldn't blame him. Across town, James was dealing with his own fallout. He had lost more than just a friend. His entire world had shifted. Alex had cut him off completely. The damage was irreversible. One night, as James sat alone in his apartment, his phone rang. It was Rachel. He hesitated before answering. "James." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Rachel, we messed up," he said before she could speak further. She sighed. "I know." There was a long pause. "I think this is it," she finally said. "Alex might not come back." James exhaled. "I never wanted this to happen like this." "But it did," Rachel said, echoing Alex's words. They both knew there was no easy fix. Days turned into weeks. Alex remained distant, even when he returned home. Rachel tried to reach him, but his walls were up. One evening, she finally confronted him. "Alex, I know I hurt you, but I love you. I don't want to lose us." He looked at her, emotions flickering in his eyes. "Love isn't enough, Rachel. Trust is everything, and right now, I don't know if I can ever trust you again." Rachel felt a lump in her throat. "Then what do we do?" Alex sighed. "Maybe we need space, real space, time apart." Her heart sank. "Are you saying you want a separation?" He didn't answer right away, but the look in his eyes told her everything. Rachel stood by the door watching as Alex picked up his bags again. "Maybe in time we'll figure this out," he said quietly. "But right now I need to go." She nodded, fighting back tears. And just like that, he was gone. She had lost him. Maybe forever. The silence in the house was unbearable. Rachel had spent the past few days in a daze, her thoughts circling the same painful realization. Alex was gone. Not just physically, but emotionally. She had shattered something between them, something she wasn't sure could ever be rebuilt. But she wasn't ready to give up. Sitting on the couch, she scrolled through old pictures on her phone. Pictures of happier times, of vacations, anniversaries, and lazy Sunday mornings when love had felt effortless. How had they gotten here? A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Her stomach twisted. For a brief, foolish moment, she thought it might be Alex. It wasn't. James stood there, his face etched with guilt. "I shouldn't be here," he admitted. Rachel folded her arms. "Then why are you?" James exhaled. I needed to know if you're okay." She scoffed. "No, James, I'm not okay. My marriage is falling apart. My husband can't even look at me. And I have no one to blame but myself." James looked away, his own shame evident. "I never meant to ruin your life, Rachel." Her anger flared. "But you did." James flinched. "You act like you had no part in this." Rachel's throat tightened. "I know I did, but it doesn't make it any easier." A heavy silence hung between them. "I think we should stop talking," Rachel finally said. "Whatever this was, it's over." James nodded, understanding. "I'm sorry, Rachel, truly." And with that, he walked away. Rachel shut the door, leaning against it as a tear slipped down her cheek. Across town, Alex sat in his brother's living room, nursing a glass of whiskey. "Have you decided what you're going to do?" his brother Mark asked. Alex let out a humorless laugh. "If I had the answer to that, I wouldn't be here." Mark sighed. "Look, man, what Rachel did, it's unforgivable. But that doesn't mean you have to throw away everything." Alex clenched his jaw. "How am I supposed to just move past it?" "You don't. But maybe you can move through it. Maybe there's still something worth saving." Alex scoffed. "You think I should just forgive her?" "I think you should figure out what you really want before you make a decision you can't take back." Alex didn't respond, because the truth was he didn't know what he wanted anymore. A week later, Rachel heard the front door open. Her heart leaped into her throat. Alex stood in the doorway, looking exhausted, conflicted, and lost. Neither of them spoke at first. Then, finally, he broke the silence. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you," he admitted, "but I don't know if I'm ready to let you go either." Tears welled in Rachel's eyes. "I don't expect forgiveness, Alex, but I love you, and I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. He studied her for a long time. Then, with a tired sigh, he said, Then let's start there. Rachel nodded, her heart heavy but hopeful. Maybe this wasn't the end after all. Maybe, just maybe, it was a chance to begin again. The days that followed were quiet, tense. Alex had agreed to stay, but he hadn't promised anything more than that. There were no affectionate touches, no warm glances, just two people living under the same roof, trying to figure out if there was anything left to salvage. Rachel gave him space. She didn't push. She didn't beg. But every night as she lay in bed alone, she wondered if it was enough. One evening, after a long day at work, she found Alex sitting on the back porch, staring into the night. I made dinner, she said softly. He didn't look at her. I'm not hungry. She hesitated, then sat down beside him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, finally, Alex exhaled. I keep thinking, if I were in your position, would I have made the same mistake? Rachel's throat tightened. Alex, I don't want you to justify what I did. It was wrong. I know that. I know you know, he said, but I need to understand why. Was it just about passion? Something I wasn't giving you? Rachel swallowed hard. Number. It wasn't just about that. It was about feeling seen, feelings desired. But it was never worth losing you. Alex nodded slowly, processing her words. They sat in silence for a while longer before he finally stood. I don't know if I can ever love you the way I used to, Rachel, but I do know one thing. I can't live my life drowning in anger and resentment. Her heart pounded. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm letting go of the past, he said, but that doesn't mean we have a future together. Rachel felt a lump rise in her throat. Are you leaving? He looked at her, his eyes sad but certain. I think I have to. Tears burned in her eyes, but she nodded. She had known this was coming. She had prepared herself for it, but it didn't make it any easier. Alex reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. I loved you, Rachel, and maybe in another life we would have figured things out differently. She let out a shaky breath. I'll always love you, Alex. With a final nod, Alex stood and walked inside. She heard the sound of him grabbing his bag, the front door opening, then closing. Rachel sat there, staring at the empty space where he had been. She had wanted a second chance, but sometimes love wasn't enough to erase the past. And for the first time, she realized maybe this was the ending they both needed.